Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 280, and today we're doing battle with Aatrox Kayn. And so, before we stop and talk about the deck list for just a moment, there were some interesting and fun tweets that came out of the Runeterra account yesterday. There's apparently been that data breach that happened at Riot. It's messed up some of their patch cadence. It kind of sucks for everyone, but my understanding is there's supposed to be a large balance patch coming out at the start of next week, so this upcoming Tuesday after seasonals, and then uh, that patch is supposed to also be running around with a roadmap for the remainder of the competitive season and the changes that they're bringing forth. But the official lands of the tweets that they brought is that the patch that was previously planned for next week has been pushed into February. That's supposed to be the big expansion-y kind of patch, I do believe, and so I think we're getting kind of thrown out of cadence here. We're getting a balance patch next week, and then that's where the news from the next set and the rotation and the stuff will come along with, and then all of that nonsense will happen at some point in February. And so the data breach thing messing with things for everyone, but that's what it sounds to be like the current plans. And then there's a roadmap and the detailed competitive overview article coming down next week, and so I assume that that'll be tied into the patch notes somehow. But all of the talk of tournaments and all of that new stuff that they're adding in, and the changes to seasonals and the qualifiers for worlds, they haven't said exactly what's going to be in there, but they've really been hinting towards this era of competitive play of Legends of Runeterra and pushing towards that. So interesting stuff in the upcoming weeks with seasonals this upcoming weekend, and then the new patch knowledge in the upcoming week. Pretty excited for all of that. And so to get back to the deck, we're playing Aatrox Kayn. Nothing new here. This really started to kind of pop off a few weeks after Aatrox was released. So this has really been kind of out and kicking it for the past couple of months or so. It did get kind of overshadowed by Vayne there for a while, until Vayne finally got caught up with all the nerfs rolling around to her. And now this has kind of circled back to being the premier Aatrox deck of the format. It has a lot of ways to come out and stall the games, and it tends to be the kind of good against aggro plus mid-range kind of killer deck of the format, in the sense that it has so much heal, it has so much free mid-game in Kayn and Aatrox, and then it has the ultimate game-ending kind of abilities with the World Ender. And so I've been pretty happy with this. This is, again, a deck that we're going to look to bring to seasonals. The things that I've kind of updated and changed with this deck are the problems that you run into it with, in my opinion, are it's very easy to draw your deck out of order. And so you're really looking to have a couple of units in the early game, and you want some equipment to put on them. Ideally, playing those units draws you Kayn, and then you can put Kayn on the board, and attaching your various equipment is going to draw you Aatrox. So you put Aatrox on the board, and so once you've gone through all of that cycle, that's when you're kind of hoping to have your Unforgiven Colds and your Furious Wielders and the like, so that everything sequences out kind of nicely. But it can be quite easy to have these games to where you mulligan 4 cards, and then you have 2 equipment and an Unforgiven Cold and a Kayn. And that hand is very tough to actually come out and win a game with. And so the thing that I've kind of grown accustomed to here is we're only playing 9 equipment. You'll oftentimes see 10, or if you're playing Vayne, you may even go up to 11, but we're only playing 9. That helps to limit those draws just a little bit. And then we're also playing 3 copies of the Shadowblade Fanatic. This is a card that helps prevent us in that same sense, to where we do not want to have these games where we just play absolutely nothing in the first 3 turns, and just having access to the full 3 copies of Shadowblade Fanatic helps us ensure that we don't really want to have to wait until turn 3 to play a card. But between him and then the 9 cheaper plays, the Cultist, the Bakai, and the Keeper of the Box, we should ideally have something to play by turn 3 of the game, pretty much every game. And so that's the addition that we're putting in there. The other odd choice that we kind of have is the inclusion of a single copy of Violent Discord. I've really grown to enjoy just having this little bit of interactivity, whether or not that's something to try and kill off a Katarina with, or to clean up a Ravun or something. Having access to this just one of removal spell has been quite nice. Last but not least, up in the 4-drop space, you see a lot of decision making here between, do I want to play Ambitious Cultist? Do I want to play the Scout unit? Do I want to cut down to 2 of these and play something cheaper, or include a 3rd copy of the Frostbite card? Lots of stuff going on there, but I've come to like the Ambitious Cultist. I think if you're playing Vayne, that's where you're going to kind of find the spot to where the Scout unit is a little bit better. You're much more aggro-centric with Vayne. You're much more equipment-centric. You have the ways to force the equipment onto the 4-cost card without having to invest as much mana. And then with the tumbles and the Scout interaction to get the attack token back, you just have a lot more combos that we aren't really looking to deal with. We don't have time for that kind of stuff here. And so the Ambitious Cultist is a very meaty unit. He's good at shutting down aggression, and then the generated spell is always quite nice. And so this is what we're doing battle with today. You know what we got to do before the battles begin? We got to go and pay the pay-to-win price, and it's going to be that Violent Discord. It's the only non-epic, champion card in here that hasn't been turned premium yet. And so welcome to the club, Violent Discord. That's one of the things that always I thought was kind of interesting with this deck, is we are playing 9 epics across the equipment. We have Heedless Resurrection in here for another one. Like, if we were playing Hearthstone, people would be up in arms about the expense of this deck, right? Having to play the full amount of legendaries, but then also having like 10 epics. The epics are where in Hearthstone things were always so tight, because they tended to be really specific in their usage. You generate a legendary like Blood Mage Thalnos, you could fit him across multiple decks, or you generate Ragnaros, you could put him in multiple decks. But as you kind of got into that epic space, that's where things tended to be like really specific. And people complained about that quite a bit in the lands of Hearthstone, but with the lands of Runeterra and everything being so free to play friendly, I've had no problems with the cost of the epics. But all right, here we go, off to battle with the Jinx, and here we need to find an early game unit, right? The thing with the equipment is they don't do us any good if we don't have a unit to put them on, so I'll just get rid of everything, try and find ourselves a cheaper play. Managed to find something here in the Bakai and the Fnatic. Looks pretty good to me. So we'll get the Bakai on board, see what turns up. I'm not really interested in any of this at the current moment. We'll draw Aatrox on our own. The Interactive Wielder and Unforgiven Cold are things that we're not going to play until like turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, and so we'll just let all of those go. Now, it is worth noting that we're playing against Echo Jinx, and I'm a little bit okayer, if you will, with making these early game trades against Echo Jinx. If we are playing against what's her name? If we were playing against like Jinx Lulu or Jinx Draven, I would have definitely considered like not attacking here, because they're going to fill out their board so easily. But against this deck, it has a different game plan. This is a deck really centered on killing with champions, and I feel a little bit safer in just not making the trade and then trying to load up on the equipment here. All right, reasonable enough board. He did manage to draw his Hexite Crystal quite quickly, but we have a meaty enough board to not be super upset about it. Always feels so good to me to not be upset about Hexite Crystal. I hate this card so much, and so to have it come on board and not be mad, it's a pretty good feeling. So we're going to have a decision here if we want to play the Ambitious Cultist or if we want to play the Shadowblade Fanatic. We drew a Kayn here, but we're also going to be just kind of free drawing a Kayn in the upcoming turn. And so have to decide if we want to save a little bit of mana for one of these spells, or if we just want to get the equipment on board. And I think we're probably okay just to drop the equipment back down. Leaving up 2 mana with Kayn, it's not terrible. It lets us represent having the combat tricks, or having the barriers if we would need those here. But importantly here with this Kayn, he did get the the +1/+1 boost from the frozen nugget, whatever that thing is called. And so we can potentially take this Jinx down here. Now, I don't suspect we're going to get this kill too often. They're going to have that -2 attack thing very frequently, but I think we still want to come in and try and take the Jinx down. Ooh, looks like we actually got her. We had the size to stop a level up there, which was pretty nice. He needed like a lot of stuff to stop us on that play. So we dealt with one Jinx. That's nice. We'll see if he drops the Echo now. That's going to be our next kind of pain point. We have the Unforgiven Cold to keep Echo from attacking. And looks like that's where we're going to be. Ideally, we'd be getting Aatrox on the board this turn. I would like to come in and start getting some heal, but the Unforgiven Cold is too important. And so we can get the Shadowblade Fanatic on board. Have an additional blocker here. Try and take the Echo down. Now, we're not like guaranteed to get the win on this Echo combat. He can have things like the Absolver here to come in and actually deal the damage and get the time trick, but it feels like another win for us if that's the way he has to do it. Which really limits him in his resources. And then on these blocks, I did leave the 0 attack unit up and put the damage on our Shadowblade Fanatic just to prevent us from taking some damage on the upcoming turn. But coming together okay. We have a decision here on this upcoming turn if we want to try and take the Echo down with Kayn, right? We drew another copy of Kayn, or if we want to just play Aatrox, and I'm leaning towards just play Aatrox. I would like to come in and just gain as much health as we can. He's going to be out here spending all of his cycle trying to find Jinx, and so I have to worry about the incoming damage at this point. But it seems like a reasonable enough place to be in. Our health is healthy. The Echo isn't too scary. I'm kind of trying to decide if we actually want to attack with some of this stuff. I think as long as we just get a little bit more time, then we're going to be okay. So let's add the Buru Cultist to the board. The thing we have to worry about now is just getting blown up by a Chrono Break. And, I mean, he's only got one card at this point. It should be pretty tough to have. I was thinking about just attacking with Aatrox, but I think we're okay here. Maybe we don't. I don't think he's I don't think he's got Scrying Sands at this point. The -2 attack card. He would have just played it by now if he already had it. But I think we can just sit back for a moment. It seems a little aggressive getting the Fanatic in. Once we get to where we're playing the World Ender, the game should be pretty done. Alright, we can at least match him unit for unit at this point. I'm looking to start just dropping equipment, though. It's a little bit of a different story with the Voice of the Risen coming in, but it's like if we get equipment on the board, then we get to start activating the World Ender a little bit easier. But I think we're fine just unit for unit here. Well, we do want to have a block for the Voice of the Risen. I guess we would just be putting Aatrox in front of it. It's just I'm seeing the Ambitious Cultist, and he's able to block some of these middle units pretty easily. I think the important thing for this turn is he just can't play Jinx, right? Regardless of how much time tricking and everything he does, Jinx just isn't coming on board. He doesn't have the mana for her. So just clear everything out. If he comes in and recalls all of the units, I think we're still okay on this turn. Okay. Takes our World Ender down to 10. So yeah, we shouldn't be dying here. I feel pretty okay with this. Wasn't even a good... I can't remember the thing. The rally, and it brings back all your dead units. The thing that usually causes you trouble. I don't think we're even worried about it here. Parallel convergence. That wasn't the one I was going on about, but okay. Some big old attacks coming through. Lots of annoying echo stuff. All right, let's keep passing though. Maybe we'll get the World Ender next turn. I'm just worried about our Aatrox dying here. I want to keep the mana up for the Expanse's protection. If he's gonna have a get excited to try and take him down, Mystic Shot, yeah. Gotta be ready. So we can still World Ender next turn. It's not going to be the most spectacular one, but should let us add Kayn to the board for free. Have the big old Aatrox running around. Not terrible. Exite Crystal isn't nearly as scary as when your dude's a 10-10. I think that's pretty safe to say. So how invested do we want to get in this turn? I mean, the cards he's digging for here shouldn't be the combat tricks, right? It feels like we should have a pretty safe Kayn hook into Echo. All right, I'll take the shot. It just, this is really painful if he picked up another parallel convergence or the recall rally thing. Like, we get all this damage put up on our Aatrox. Maybe we just don't attack with Aatrox so we can block with him.
A quick hand delivers a clean kill. Clean is tiresome.
I wonder if there's a spot where we just don't attack at all. That's tough. You're just not, you don't know which card you're needing to fight. But with either one, if he comes up with the recall rally or the parallel convergence, I think we just want Aatrox at home. We can't have him like attacking, blocking the Voice of the Risen, and then he gets the free attack with it again, and then we have to lose our Aatrox. It just doesn't seem reasonable. Revive all allies. So this brings back his Echo. Okay. Manageable. He doesn't know that we have Darkened Fan in hand, and so if he does look to not open attack, we have a great opportunity just to get a bunch of dudes on the board. Dang. Okay. Well, we should be kind of safe here. He's gonna look to play a. We should have time tricked. That was bad. We should have time tricked and looked for the. Frostbite card. Well, let's see what happens. I think we're safe here. Alright, let's see what turns up. Heedless Resurrection would only bring back Kayn. I'm not super interested in that. I'm just going to let all of these go. I guess I could see an argument for hanging on to Momentous Choice, but our Aatrox is too small to fight any of this stuff, even with the extra health from the combat trick. It's not bad. All right, so plenty of blockers now. Excite Crystal doesn't quite do enough. He's going to get to AoE our team for 3, right? He's gonna surprised he's well. I guess Jinx gets to pretty safely attack, but we're gonna get hit with both the Hexite Crystal and the Crystal and the Death Rocket. So you got to think if we can do anything ultra clever here. We're a little bit short on the mana, but we do have that Expanse's protection to try and stop some of this nonsense. It's not gonna pay out.
You guys gonna be okay?
Alright, so he's down to his last card here. We're going to have to win on this upcoming turn with the open attack. And so let's go ahead and get the Striatu down. And then we'll open, see if we can't clear this stuff up. We need to get some strikes coming out of this Aatrox to heal up a little bit. So it'll be close. We'll see what happens here. See if he's able to time trick into Mystic Shot or something weird. All right, squad. Let's see what you can do. Squeeze them cheeks. Hold them tight for everyone here. Hold them tight. Okay, we picked up another strike, and we have the Deathbringer sweep, so we have the potential to strike twice with Aatrox just in this combat to get a bit of heal. I think we're okay here. And then our Keeper of the Box isn't showing lifesteal, but he has it. You can see it on our +5 over here to the left. It's about to do something lame. You can tell. Say, hey, buddy, I can see you being a lame-o out here. Oh, he did pick up the Mystic Shot. All right, that presents us with a lethal so far. I was going to say, I don't know if I entirely like that. It's like if we have to play another strike, it has to be a Deathbringer sweep. And with his board, it's going to kind of cancel out with what he has. I think we should have... Well, no, that's the way we had to do it. It's like I was starting to think it's like, well, it would have been nice to strike with our fearsome unit with the lifesteal, but it didn't have an equipment. You have to have an equipment to get that strike in. And so... Ooh, tough though. Well fought. GG. Nice battle. Victory is ours. Go ahead and mark it a W for bust. Alright, next battle. And so I picked the Aatrox deck because I started watching The Last of Us. That was a pretty intense start to a show with all the demon fungus running around. that's the tie-in, right? It has the nice demon fungus in it. We're playing the demon crew here today with Aatrox Kayn, but it reminded me pretty heavily of The Walking Dead. I didn't entirely know what I was getting into with The Last of Us. I figured there was some kind of apocalyptic event, and then just the dude and the kid running around. I won't like jump into too much of the plot, so I don't spoil stuff. But the whole like aspect between the main character, whatever his name is, Steve or Rick, or it's not Rick. Rick's The Walking Dead, but him and his kid, and then the kid that he picks up to adventure with and everything. It's all intense, but I thought it was a pretty good start. And man, for as much flack as The Walking Dead catches these days, I think you have to admit that that was a pretty intense opening sequence with it. It was such an amazing start as to just having Rick just wake up and everything's gone to shit, and trying to figure out what has happened to the world, in his limited knowledge from being knocked out and in the hospital or whatever. However that started out, it was pretty incredible of a start. Uh, Seems like the Last of Us is off to a pretty good one as well.
Things lay inside.
All right, back to the game, back to the action. Just need an equipment, right? This is kind of one of these awkward draws we mentioned, to where you can kind of get on board, but things don't happen just how you need, right? We really need an equipment for these units to do something, and we just don't have it. But hopefully, once we get our Kayn online, that will be the equipment that we need. And so we can still safely like add Ambitious Cultist next turn. He can interact with these opposing units kind of okay. And then once we drop Kayn on turn 5 and everything activates, we can start to kind of reassess this terrible board. Right, would have been nice to get a little bit of early value out of our units here. Just didn't quite come together. Ooh, big Bannerman draw.
All things can be analyzed, even darkened.
Ready to do my part.
Pretty good. Pretty good. We just got to make it through this turn, and life will get much better. So let's see. Just throw a block down on 1. Coming in to take 13, I think is okay. The thing that we have to stop and consider is, is he going to have Cythria? Cythria is the one that would let our units, not attack. We really want to have our units blocking on his bigger turn, right? So say he plays another Bannerman or another unit booster, and then he gets all the stats across his board. That's the block we would ideally be getting, but there's no guarantees that we can get that far, because if he plays Cythria, then these small units can't block. Answered Prayer wasn't a terrible pickup. Spend 2 mana just to get a blocker. So Garen is moderately annoying this turn, keeping us from getting a Kayn challenge, but I think this is okay. We have the double Unforgiven Cold here to really limit what he can do on offense. And then if he doesn't play Cythria here, this feels pretty decent. What you got for us, fam? Okay. Let's see, what can we get out in front of? Not a lot of great blocks here, unfortunately, but these are winners. Let's come in and weaken up another unit so that we can hook it down with Kayn next turn. Well, Kayn's not going to be able to... maybe we do this. So Kayn still gets the strike but doesn't lose out on the health. Because we're going to want to get a Kayn flip next turn and then maybe even Shadow Step. Losing out on the Keeper of the Box doesn't seem necessary. We might be able to get a good Dark and Lodestone hook next turn. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Darken power.
Okay. And a Bannerman. Sure. All right, you're gonna have to put in a little bit of work here, Kayn. You're gonna have to do your thing. And oh, Aatrox turns up. No complaints there.
Yes.
All right, so we're not getting kills here, but this is going to flip our Kayn. These dudes were a little bit too big there.
I will not yield.
But he's in this spot to where he is overpowering our board a little bit, but he's not doing enough to where he's going to be presenting the lethals. And he's, oh, champion strength, fuck. So he's going to have to start overriding units, but the champion strength coming in, that's just a little bit too slow. Dang. GG. So close, but I think that kind of perfectly illustrated a lot of what we were talking about there in the early game, as to where, you know, just one equipment would have let us come in and build up quite a bit more board, and the opponent was able to just kind of do their thing all willy-nilly. We didn't have the way to stop them when our units were all too small. So a little unfortunate, but not horrible at the end of the day. Now, this is the Seraphine Twisted Fate. This is the Burblefish deck. I don't think this is supposed to be a good matchup. It's one that I kind of tend to find myself banning out. It's something that we don't have a good answer to the Burblefish plan. They eventually just fuck around until they're able to try and OTK you with the Glorious Evolution Burblefish. And can cause some problems, but we'll see. It's one of these matches I'd like to get in 10, 15 games of before seasonals rolls around. I just don't have the means to do that. Kind of seems like the consensus is that the back alley bar decks are just garbage. And so if you want to switch into playing Seraphine still, then you find yourself playing this deck. All right, and so the removal in the deck is very one of. I mean, they play a heavy metal, they play a mystic shot, they play pretty much one of everything, and so I don't think there's a reason to put too much thought into whether or not we want to try and protect these keeper of the boxes. We just got to get them on board and slap the equipment on it, kind of hope for the best, if you will. So I would like to ideally get to play around heavy metal, but we'll see how opponent spends the mana here. The opponent having no interactivity kind of play we would want is going to be the Darkened Lodestone, so that we can grow both of these up to 3/3s. You can't block either of them because of the Fearsome. And then, I mean, it's like, I guess if you've got heavy metal, then good job. But, you know, it's kind of is what it is. All right. So we get our start. I think he's trying to block and now realizing our units have Fearsome. Doing an incredible amount of thinking here. This is fucking annoying, but kind of is what it is. Okay, you had some cards. Good job. You managed to randomly generate a Twin Disciplines to get the block in. I was thinking earlier, I hate these Seraphine decks so much. I think that they're just an abomination upon the game. But I haven't spent much time here recently going on about how the opposing players just spending their weekends playing chess by themselves. And so I think that's got us at least into a fairly decent meta if we're kind of saying that nonsense hasn't run around here in recent times. And so. So boring. I'm sure IWS Mafia is taking it very seriously here, but just so boring to just sit and wait and hope and sit and wait and wait. Like, if we're playing in seasonals, fine, take your time. But just out here playing random games on the ladder frustrates me to no end. All right, though. We can't just dirtle around with these elusives. They're going to have way too many. It's kind of tempting to throw removal spells onto them, but there's going to be enough elusives running around between zaps and burblefishes and acorns and iterative improvements that you can't just get all of them off of the board. And so we'll at least try and take the Twisted Fate angle away from him. And then now we'll be able to drop Aatrox in the upcoming turn and see if we can't punch anything else in. This game's not going well. We don't have the board width we need to drop a lot of strength on him. We're just going to have to hope we can World Ender before he's able to pop off with the Glorious Evolution. Which, if he started with it, he should be pretty close. He's gotten in 4 hits with Acorn now. So, wouldn't be surprised to see that come down quickly. Typically play 2 copies.
I'm always up for a round or two.
Okay. Drew a card, take 15 seconds to think on it, and then push the button. I know how it goes. I know how it works.
Fascinating, the overlap between magic and science.
Such a late Kayn. You're just 1 unit short the whole way through. Alright, let's see what we can do, though. Maybe we'll chunk in a little bit of damage. We want on the round. It's gonna be the Bloodletters. It's pretty tempting with the Deathbringer sweeps on the upcoming turn, if we're looking to just strike down some of these plays. I think we want to boost our Aatrox here with the stats so that we can try. I mean, if we get the triple strike of Deathbringer sweeps next turn, use that to kind of cheapen up our World Ender and then be ready in the upcoming turn. Like, that's how you do things in the Path of Champions. If you're not familiar with the Aatrox campaign in the Path of Champions, whenever you have a unit strike, it makes a card in your hand cost 1 less, and so you can really power out the World Enders by getting all of those strikes in. All right, let's see what we can do, though. I think that's going to be the plan, the angle. I mean, if he drops Glorious Evolution and gets to start boosting his units +3 and +4 stats, there's not a lot we can Deathbringer sweep, but... There it is. Ooh, a Hex Obliterator. Cannot approve of that. We can get him right back. We have the Heedless Resurrection in hand, but I would prefer to have our larger statted friend on board. Nice. There's the Glorious Evolution. I mean, it might even be worthwhile just to go ahead and kill off this Aatrox, right? If, knowing that we have the Heedless, the thing, and we can get him back fairly quickly. Target Aatrox, target thing. Okay. Boy, he doesn't even seem to have any spells to pop off here. Sad day for you, friend. There's a fresh Acorn, but do we care about these champions? Seraphine's getting pretty close to flipping, and we're not going to get lethal this turn. So let's go after Seraphine with this one. And if he, like, chains off a bunch of spells, we still have the means of... like Heedless Resurrection, and we can put the Aatrox item onto someone else, get the double flip. I think we're in good shape. Hurry up so I can kill you. God, I love it. I love the voice Theron's Aatrox. You get me. You get me on a personal level. Very delightful of you to share the same feelings. letting it happen. Okay. Gonna hit us with some poros. Okay, what's this, like 5 coming in? Do some blocking with lead and follow as well. These things all cost 0? Oh god, are we still gonna get OTK'd? It's only got 2 cards in hand. Oh boy. 6, 9, 11. It's a little close for comfort. Surprised he's not attacking with his back line, right? He'd be pretty forced to block it. Okay. All right, well, let's do some world end and see if we can't survive this one. Curious if we maybe should have like put the bloodletters onto Aatrox. Probably not the bloodletters, probably the Darkened Harp onto Aatrox, and then put the Aatrox weapon onto something else, just so we'd have the 2 big overwhelms. I'm kind of worried now that we don't have enough board to actually close this game out. We can get the bloodletters on the board. These other ones, I think we might have punted this. Twisted Fate's about to flip as well. Okay. So I do want to get Kayn on board. You'll dodge Kayn on occasion, because he's just usually too small to do things out here, but he's going to be big enough to... Or he's going to get big with the Harazi.
They will never die, because I will never let them.
Is that where we're at? Do we have enough overwhelm now? Probably not, because he's gonna heal for 1,000,000. Look at all these. What is all this? It does land on Kayn. Wow, and the Make It Rain lands. So we still have the Heedless Resurrection to not completely worry about that, but pretty impressive what you managed to do, my friend. Pretty impressive. So we're just like way short of hitting for 20 now, but we've got to hopefully force him to block everything. But yeah, I'd feel much better. I think we kind of messed this one up and not not putting 2 Aatrox on the board. Who'd we hit? Cultist. Cultist was not the strongest of hits here. Of course, we were searching for a Darken. But it should be enough to force him into blocking. Oh, we're just not even lethal yet. Wow. Wow. We had to have punted this one. I mean, even with all the heal he did and everything, we should have been able to hit him from 20. We should have just had double Aatrox on board, and then use that as our means to close out the game. Didn't even attack, like, we could have gotten the, maybe we should have gotten the Darken Harp in as well, if we knew that the Zolani wasn't going to be enough for lethal. That's tough. But we'll see. If we pick up a removal spell next turn, then we still have things to do. So we can get an Aatrox, a Strike, a double Frostbite, something to get in front of the Acorn here. That's why I kind of wish we had the Striatu now, is just we had 2 additional draws at something to take Acorn off of the board, right? We should have said, oh, okay, this Zolani's not going to be lethal. Let's switch over to the Striatu. It's not going to do it. Well, it's a good learning experience. I'm not frustrated about the game as much as dude just taking an hour for an hour for every turn. Maybe we should have taken an hour for every turn and we would have analyzed that last one a little bit better, but it's so boring. I can't wait. I hope and dream that as the competitive announcement comes out, they say we're turning it on to Nosdormu mode, and you have to complete your turns in 3 times less time. All right, doing battle up against Drissoth, a reasonable enough start. What you'll see in a lot of these Aatrox Kayn mirror matches is there's a couple of different modes. Like if you're really active in the early game with your strikes, then you tend to be able to you tend to be able to get your World Ender online faster. And a lot of these games just come down to whoever plays the World Ender first. The thing after that is kind of the interactivity. And so if you think of the kind of like common way that these games sequence, in that we add, we want to get units on board, we want to put equipment on the units, then in the mid game we want to play our Aatrox and our Kayn, and then in the late game we want to add our we want to add our interactive spells. And if things don't draw in those specific orders, it can be a little bit odd and awkward. But I think we're good here. We should be getting in front of him. We got the Keeper of the Box, Darken Harp, to hopefully get some of these attacks rolling. It doesn't seem like anyone has the Darkened Spear to boost the units in board. So hopefully we're able to get that edge here in the early game with our, assuming like we play the box, the harp, attack with everyone. He trades the cultist into the Bakai. We're getting the 2 strikes to his 1 and kind of picking things up here.
Bestows for a price. Terrible things lay inside.
All right, here come the combats.
Into the abyss.
Ooh, is he gonna have the combat trick? The +2 health to win the combat with the Keeper? It's kind of lame if you do, bro. I'll go ahead and put that out there. Kind of go ahead and put that out there.
Shadow.
Does. Okay. But we have plenty of stuff to do with our mana. Might be getting a little bit of a Kayn advantage here as well. So it seems like we're starting to push forth at least a little bit. We've drawn things in the right order, so that at least feels kind of nice. Now we have a Darkened Spear. So we'd prefer to have it a little bit earlier. But you can't pick and choose everything in the way that it turns out. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and spew everything on board so we can do our turn on this upcoming turn as fast as possible. So we'll get Kayn on board. Hopefully Kayn gets the good strike into the cultist. We're getting 3 weapon strikes on the round. That should hopefully let us get this World Ender up in action. So Kayn isn't the most impressive thing in this matchup. He tends to really shrink once you get into the space of getting the big Darken on board. And so I'm kind of okay to let his Kayn come out and do his thing a little bit. We might try and pressure it with our Shadow Step, but this isn't a place where I'm really worried about his Kayn.
Drown in shadow.
Well, the bummer here is we're going to have to worry about him having a second Kayn in hand. And so I would love to get Aatrox on board, but if we play Aatrox and then he has Kayn and Shadow Steps into us, we're going to be in for bad news. So let's just play it a little bit slower here.
I am the weapon.
Does have the Shadow Step. It's not very friendly. Let's see if we can get out of it. If he has a strike, that's kind of fine to take. It'd just be nice to have our Kayn survive since we do already have the Shadow Step in hand. And us getting the quick attack strike will flip our Kayn regardless of him only having 1 health at this point. Okay. All right, let's get the big boys on board. We're not going to be doing any attacking this round. We just got to kind of switch over to World Ender mode, which we're pretty close to popping off, and we have the Unforgiven Cold in hand as well. So I feel okay here. He just drew another Kayn, right? He played the Keeper of the Box, and a card just moved into his hand. So if he's gonna like Kayn into our Aatrox, we do have the... Oh shit, we don't have the mana for the Unforgiven Cold now. It's kind of scary. Maybe we're alright now. Get to play our big spell. Everybody wants to play the big spell. Alright, well, not exactly what we wanted, but not the end of the world. It was a pretty decent turn for us. Do we want to just Deathbringer strike down his Kayn now? Deathbringer sweep? Not opposed to it. He's got to spend mana here, though. There's no way he just passes with 11 mana up and lets the turn go. Oh, this would be juicy if we get the Frostbite out of him. Take the Frostbite away the turn before we play the World Ender. That's pretty nice. Aw, lame, dude. You go, lame-o. What's on you? The bloodletters. Okay, I was like, do we want to switch up the equipment before we World Ender? I don't think so. Could have gotten a slightly better one on board, I guess, but... brutal. Not nearly as sweet doing the World Ender when you don't have your when you don't have your Aatrox on board. Knew that one was here as well. All right, that one's done. Brutal. All right, on to the next one. Appears as though Drissoth has mastered something beyond beyond Nami. He's of course one of the just best players in the world, but is very much known for being the best Nami Twisted Fate player in the world while he was at it. All right, on to the next one though. We need to pick up an equipment here. This tends to be a pretty good matchup against the Leona Aphelios. Their mid game just isn't anywhere near as good as our mid game things that we're doing. You can draw your deck out of the wrong order though, which we've done a little bit here. Adding in the bloodletters though makes things a lot safer and a lot nicer.
Terrible things lay inside.
My faith protects me.
All right. No attacks this turn, but not a big deal. We're not in a big hurry here. This isn't a deck that can close out the game any kind of fast. This isn't like the Noxen version of the Leona deck that we play. So, got plenty of time.
Yes, a weapon to cut through the shadows.
Interesting. These attacks are booty. I would suspect if he's coming in this aggressively, that he's gonna be coming at us with unspeakable horror, right? That's the only real reason I would think as to why you're going to just slam in all of those bad attacks. So I think this is still fine and safe. The question's going to be, do we want to start hitting with this Keeper of the Box? And I don't think we need to. We have a bit of time here. Vile Feast, same thing. I think I'm just gonna let this go. I'm like, we're about to play Kayn. Kayn should be able to take over this board. If opponent opens attacks here, they only deal 2 damage. So I think we're safe in that sense. And now Kayn can kind of run rampant now that he's protected with the momentous choices as well. Protecting from Sunburst. Just trying to think if we want to drop the Darkened Bloodletters. It should draw us Aatrox, I believe. I think we're okay though. He still hasn't done anything. The thing that worries me is like if we come up in this next turn, and he's able to Winding Light, but we have the Unforgiven Cold. Should that be his angle here?
You cannot sway me.
He's definitely about to drop a Winding Light on us. I feel like if he's not putting the Solari Shield Bearer in front of Keeper of the Boxes, it should be fairly apparent that that's what he's about to drop. This still feels pretty okay. The Unforgiven Cold will protect us if we need it, and we just have a ton of heal as well. This is where it starts. This is where it starts. And so we will not tap down below 5 mana. I think kind of the safety net we get here is he's not going to have. We should have discorded. He's not going to have It slipped me. I had something in there and I can't think it now. Can take down the Aphelios if he chooses to attack with him. Leaves him at home. And this attack not particularly not particularly scary if he's only taking us down 7 off of a winding light hit. I think we can probably just keep the other keeper of the box at home and then get a better attack with it next turn. Okay. I do feel like there's a lot of times we should just be equipping this Darkened Scythe, and I don't do it. I gotta keep that in my brain piece a little bit more. I know we put the equipment on the Fnatic there, and it worked out nicely, but it's one of the things I feel like we just let sit in our hand for a while, and should probably be using more frequently. All right, we'll go ahead and play this. I was like, all right, well, this is a pretty good moment to drop a Violent Discord onto the Winding Light, but I don't want to risk our Aatrox, so we'll just attack with everybody else. The 2 lifesteal units have Fearsome, and so if he wants to block them, he has to use his good units. I think we're still safe here, but it's like I know that. Just the risk of sunburn, the risk of sunburst onto Aatrox is quite a bit. Oh shit! I thought we had another. God damn it! I saw the Darkened Scythe and I thought this was a second, a second Expanse's protection. I would have played that a lot differently had I realized that. It's not. That was not good. Hopefully we're still okay here, but I 100% made those plays thinking this Darkened Scythe was the barrier card. I would have just let our other unit fall and left Aatrox back. I would play that completely differently. Like that would have been a good spot to Violent Discord the, like let his removal spell come in, Violent Discord the Winding Light, then we get to attack with everybody else and still have Aatrox protected. That play sounds a lot better than what we what we actually pulled off there. But I think we're still in pretty good shape with this game. You got a reasonable amount of mana to just start adding shit to the board, and then after he attacks, we get to follow up with the World Ender. If you're not familiar with World Ending, Shadow Fiends, they lose the Ephemeral. So you can pretty safely Darken Blade a Shadow Fiend and then World End and get all the stats. Maybe we should just be doing this ahead of time. Like, I don't think he ever, like, just doesn't attack this turn. I mean, do we even care if he booms us that hard? I mean, I don't think so. We can, if we're going to be real, we can just wait until next turn to play the World Ender. It's not necessary here. He's got 3 mana. There's no way he's killing us. It's not very kind. Alright, well, we'll wait till next turn to World Ender. Whatever. If you want to attack into our Shadow Fiends, you're more than welcome to.
Answer to me.
Okay. So what do we got coming in here? More Darkened Bloodletters? Do we even want to bother? I'm not amped about it. We should probably just be picking up the Furious Wielder. Get the removal going. Get all the Dark Enthralls on board. That's all anyone ever needs. A little Dark Enthrall to improve your day. Alright, then we have 13 mana. Could stop right here if we want to World Ender and have the mana to Furious Wielder. I mean, I don't think it's necessary. I think we can just save it for next turn. You got something exciting here? Doesn't look like it. you can summon a random 2-cost follower if you want. We're about to bring forth the big boys. Just wonder how happy Kayn is. Look at all these Dark Enthrall friends just hanging out. We got the whole crew out here, all 4 of them, just ready to have at it. All right, here it comes. I'm ready. Drop the big spell. That, scary stuff. What you gonna do to us? How bad could it be? 2 cards coming in. Atrocity. Okay, so I saw the Atrocity come in. I was just like, oh no, he's gonna hit us right to the face. But this is okay. We can cancel it. I was hoping to just save the Violent Discord to take down a Leona barrier with, but didn't need it at the end. GG. All right. These Aatrox games run a little bit long, so we're getting close to the hour mark. Let's just go ahead and get one more game in, and then we'll call it a day. You want somebody to blame it on that Seraphine guy, okay? you didn't get your full late games. It's the Seraphine guy's problem, not ours. So go get mad at him. But not bad. I feel like we should have picked that game up, and then our other losses were pretty reasonable, and so good learning experience. It's just unfortunate the amount of games I've played of the Sunburn deck, of the Leona Noxus deck, probably like a literal 8 to 10 times more games than I've played with this thing, and so it's a bit of a struggle there. But all right, I assume that this is the some take on the Katarina Opulent Foyer deck. I know it has Callista in here, but that's always my assumption with these things is whenever we see Shadow Isles Callista turn up, I'm just going to assume that they're playing the Opulent Foyer deck. Then there at the beginning, we did mulligan away our Darkened Bloodletters. It is a nice equipment to have because it's so cheap, but we got to have a unit to equip it to. And so I just went ahead and mulliganed everything away. Now we have a keeper of the box to try and get started a little bit with. I think we're stuck just letting this happen. I'm not really excited about it, but I want to get the Darkened Fan up and running and get these attacks in. The other thing we're going to have to kind of worry about is if he has a Katarina next turn, like either a Katarina now or a Katarina on the next attack token, we're gonna have to have the Unforgiven Cold as a means to take her off of the board. So we can't re-equip here, or we just lose to Katarina. So we'll still take this attack. I mean, getting a 2 health gain isn't terrible, and then we should hopefully be a little bit protected if the Dum Dum comes down. This is a pretty rough state for us to be in. Callista's kind of manageable, though. I wonder if we can pull off a Darkened Harp and just threaten the trade with Callista. Like, if we get to just survive at 4-4, that would be nice. I wonder if she even attacks. She does. She does not. It's kind of a bummer if he doesn't attack. We need to stop this Redeemed Prodigy at some point. So this nonsense going to be another Quietus? That's fucking annoying. It's not so much that it's bad for us. Like losing these equipment, they're replaceable. The problem is not being able to get that mana back, right? We spent 2 mana, he spent 1 twice. So he's getting that mana advantage with the Quietus. Alright, so we do end up losing our Keeper of the Box this way. Kind of is what it is. Without the equipment, we didn't have the good attacks there. Hopefully we can still carry on and carry forth with the Unforgiven Colds. Have to see. I mean, if he's got a... I don't remember the entirety of the cards that are coming out of these decks. You have to start making cuts somewhere if you want to play Mites and Ruined Reckoners and Eternal Dancers and the like. I'm not certain how much Vile Feasts that they're actually playing. But... reasonable Shunpo. Well, maybe that is unreasonable. Let's drop a Shadow Fiend so we can prevent 6 damage here. God, that's so brutal. And then he just gets to prevent the damage on the way back. Such a disgusting sequence. Okay. It's up to Hallowed 5 now. I think we gotta drop Aatrox. He's gonna bring like Callista back with the Eternal Dancers. It's kind of okay. He's gonna attack with the Dancers to the left so that they're capable of taking down Aatrox, but this is a unit we just can't let sit around. This is way too powerful. Okay. You did a good job, Aatrox. You fought hard. You fought valiantly. Did just what we needed you to do. So we might be starting to grind this one out. Again, it's the deck really needs to be hitting their Katarinas. And without Katarina, it does suck to deal with this foyer and it boosting you know, the units and having that 7 or 8 or 9 damage attacker over and over and over again. But in the big one is Katarina and them doing it multiple times. We can kind of deal with the foyer. Can't really deal with Katarina. Interesting. He knows he's flipping Arcane here. And again, I'm not really worried about this Callista. Callista's the one coming in off of this attack. So we just got to prevent the damage where we can. Kane's going to flip off of this. He could have a Glimpse from Beyond to stop the Kane strike, but we're not getting domed to the face here. And then we could technically strike down the Hallowed Dancers. I think we want to wait and see if he's going to play like a Risen Reckoner or something. I don't think we can get out of this turn without leaving either 5 mana up for the Unforgiven Cold or 4 mana up for the Furious Wielder. He's gonna have a follow-up play here that we need to be able to answer. And so don't want to get too ambitious on this board. Feel better with the Vile Feast coming in. Pass, the game starts lagging. It's probably because Riot got hacked. And then see what else goes on here. Okay, so how do we feel about these? The bummer of letting the Eternal Dancers attack is them getting the potential for a. We're fine here now. To pull back like Katarinas and stuff, but now if he's hitting the flock on our unit, he's gonna have to Risen Right or something. We can now strike with Kayn, whatever targets. He doesn't get the attack anymore, and we're starting to look a little bit better. Still nowhere close to world ending, but we're getting close. This is fine. We can let the Spiderling come in, block with Kayn, Furious Wielder down the unit in the back line, and he doesn't get to deal any damage. He's out of mana, so we don't have to worry about too much here. All right, cruising along. Yeah, this World Ender is so far away. It sucks so much.
You are the tool. I am the weapon.
But maybe we'll get there at some point, you know? maybe we'll get to cast our big spell before the day's over with. Interesting. Excuse me, Harazi costs 8, right? I don't want to get too invested with these Darken. He's still back in this spot to where he can potentially come at us with a Rally, another Shunpo or something. And so let's not get too greedy on this board. I think we still want to keep 5 mana up. And then if he taps down low, we can start playing Shadow Fiends or playing Zolanis or whatever. Don't care about Callista. Boisterous Host. He's down to 1 card now, so let's add in 1 more. Like, if he has a Shunpo, that's gonna be the like worst possible thing for us, and we're pretty manageable in terms of a Shunpo coming down, and so I'm going to just get the Zolani on board and pass. Make sure that we have 3 blockers for the round. And then again, we could World End if we wanted, but I like having this Unforgiven Cold. We're so close to just like finally grinding this one down. Dumb deck. And all right, managed to take it down at the end of the day. That's a tough one. That's a rough matchup for us. It really kind of preys on these non-interactive decks, but if you're able to stop the engine from building up, if you're able to stop them from attacking you 2 and 3 times in the same turn, then you tend to be fairly okay. And so, not bad, not a bad set of games. A nice 3 and 3 set. This is what I kind of expect and hope for out of seasonals with Aatrox Kayn. It's one of those decks to where if you really want to gun for it, you can. It's very easy to bring a lineup that has, one of those Katarina decks, and then one that has some flavor of Pantheon and some flavor of Varus, and those just big, real meaty, overwhelming, go tall kind of strategies really strike this down. But I don't think that those are particularly balanced strategies, and I think that we're coming upon a seasonals as to where you want to have a pretty balanced lineup. And so I think Aatrox Kayn still has a good fit in here, because as you kind of put that into mind, as you do come across the kind of like randomness of the format, if you come across like any of the real just kind of mid-rangey decks like Darkness or the Leonas that don't have Noxus or things like that, Aatrox Kayn has a place to really shine there. And then I ultimately wouldn't be surprised to run into triple aggro on occasion, which Aatrox Kayn is quite good against, and then even just like the odd Pirates deck or so. It's quite good against as well. But to me, one of the kind of big things with Aatrox Kayn is it doesn't have any of those matchups that just aren't unwinnable, right? That you could kind of see it right there as the matchup that was supposed to be bad for us. We took that one down fairly handily. It could have gotten out of hand real quick if they picked up a Katarina, but it's not one of these decks that has a matchup table that's really super polarized. You don't have a lot of 60-70% win rate decks, and it also doesn't really get 25 to 30% win rated against anything else. And so, I'm happy with it. I think our lineup here is okay. My ultimate concern with this is, as we say, like ran into Drissoth there's a large swath of people that are much more experienced with the deck. I didn't play a ton of Aatrox Kayn when it first hit and when it first rose up, and so got to kind of put in the reps and put in the time here while we can. But we are going to be at a bit of a disadvantage against the people that were being tournament players or leveling up a little bit earlier in the season when this deck was kind of at its prime. But nonetheless, good stuff. I had fun with that. Hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So this is Bustin'. We thank you for being here.